What's up, guys? Coconut here with Utopia Games, bringing you a new Pokemon budget deck list. Today we're going to be looking at the Sharpedo deck. It's a deck that a few people have been talking about here and there. I don't see it as talked about as often as, the Lurantis deck or all the other cool new GXs, but I figured we could give some of the non-GX, non-EX basics some love today. So let's go ahead and look at the Sharpedo deck. He is a Stage 1 with 110 hit points. He has an ability Rough Skin. Whenever they attack him, it does 3 damage to them, whether they knock him out or not. And then for a Dark and 2 colorless, you're looking at 60 damage. But the best part about this attack is it does 20 more damage for each retreat in your opponent's active Pokemon retreat cost. So basically, if you're running up against EXs, GXs, most of those guys have 2 to 4 retreat. So you're going to be doing an extra anywhere from like 40 to 80 extra damage. So this attack is usually averaging around 120 for me, at least when I was playing. But it is getting as high as like 160, which is pretty neat. And everything else in this deck is kind of built around giving your opponent some extra retreat. So let's just go ahead and look at the full deck list. We're running 4 Talonflames. That guy's basically in here just for the consistency. I tried it with a bunch of other versions with Octilleries, with Orangurus, with Unknown, stuff like that, just to get some draw power going on. I felt Talonflame was the most consistent. The 1 energy gets 2 cards out of your deck. It was letting me get the double colorless I needed, or the evolutions to the Doug Trios or anything like that. So having him in the deck was pretty nice. Plus no retreat. Once you're set up, you can just bring him on back and let your Sharpedo go to town. 4 of the Caravanas, obviously you need him to evolve into the Sharpedos, who is the main attacker of the deck. It is running 3 Digletts, the Alolan Digletts, and 3 of the Doug Trios. The reason you're running this guy, though, is for his Tangling Hair ability. Your opponent's active Pokemon now has a retreat cost of 1 more, so you're just adding that 20 damage onto the guy. And if you have 2 or 3 of them on the bench, you're adding, just start stacking up 20, 40, 60 extra damage. I was running 4 and 4, but you drew these guys way more often than you wanted to. You'd either draw the Doug Trios without the Digletts, or way more Digletts than Doug Trios, and they're just kind of clogging up the bench. So I dropped them down to 1 and 1. Plus, you don't want to start Diglett. You really want to start Talonflame, or if you have to, the Caravana. But 3 and 3 worked for me. If you want to bump it up, you're more than welcome to. But as far as budget goes, you're looking at $17.08 for all of these guys. The Talonflames were the most expensive. They're running you $3 each. The Sharpedos, I believe, were, 65 cents. So as your main attacker, 65 cents. And these are all TCG prices, too. Like the lowest you can find them on there. You could probably buy this guy for $1 on eBay. So, I mean, technically you can drop this deck price down. If you really just kind of searched out there and decided to shop around instead of just buying straight off of TCG. But just to make things easier, I just did all my prices straight off of TCG. As far as the supporters go and items, we're looking at a energy retrieval, kit, you would say. You kind of want your opponent's main Pokemon just to be chilling there, not being able to retreat, not being able to attack. So I tried this with a couple other different engines, and I felt that this one was probably the best at the moment. But it is playing 4 Crushing Hammers. Like I said, you're ditching their energy off of their guy, or even anyone that they're just kind of charging up on the bench. So then they can't retreat, they can't attack, and they're just taking Sharpedo hits all day. 1 Enhanced Hammer. Special energies are still pretty big in this format, but I've noticed that most people are just playing DCEs with special energies. A lot of people are running a lot of basics now just because of your Max Elixirs. You got your Turbo Darkrai, your Fairy decks and whatever. They're all running basic energies. So having multiple of these, you kind of just draw, and they're just dead draws. So one was enough. It does play 1 special charge to get your double colorlesses back, just in case you ditch them early on with the professors. But I didn't use it as much as I ever needed to, but it's nice having it in there as a backup just in case. 2 Super Rods, those are basically in there just to get your Digletts, Doug Trios, Sharpedos back. I hardly ever used it to get energy back unless it was in the discard and it made me do it. 4 Ultra Balls, pretty standard in every deck. 4 Versus Seekers, pretty standard in most decks too. And actually that's where all of the money for this deck is going. It's about half of the cost of the deck just in those. 3 of the Team Aqua's Secret Base. I had 4 in here for a while, and I'd just play them whenever, but I noticed if I just held onto them and used them when I needed to, if they drop Parallel City on you, or just when your Sharpedo's ready to attack, that's when you'd want to play it down to add that extra 20 damage. Kind of surprise them. Don't play them willy-nilly, then you would have to play 4 just because they're ditching yours with their stadiums. So play these at an opportune moment, and 3 should work out for that. 2 Lysanders, pretty standard. 2 Ns, once again, pretty standard. I normally play 3, but I did put a teammates in here, so I cut an N for that. 4 Professors, also very standard. This one does play 2 Team Skull Grunts. I like this a lot. I had it at 3 so that I'd draw it opening hand like every game. And I'd end up drawing like 2 opening hand every game, and that was pretty frustrating getting 2 of those and no draw supporters. So 2 in the deck made it where I drew it enough and when I needed them, and not often enough that I drew it instead of a draw supporter at the time that I drew them. But it's pretty fun when you drop your Team Skull Grunt first turn, ditch 2 energy out of their hand. One of the other reasons I like it too is because the Arrow Blitz, you're getting what you need, so you don't need to Professor first turn to start drawing into your double colorlesses or your evolutions. The Arrow Blitz lets you get what you're missing on that first turn. So if you have your Carvon out and you need a Sharpedo and say a double colorless, you just Talonflame and grab one of each so that you can first turn Skull Grunt and not have to worry about being behind on drawing cards. So that was pretty neat, and Team Skull Grunts just looks super cool. I mean, that's just a funny looking card. Place 1 teammates, your guys do get knocked out a lot. They're just your standard stage 1s. I mean, he has 110 hit points, the trio has 100 or just 100, and then the Talonflame has 130, so they're getting knocked out pretty quick. But this lets you just get the cards you need to set up. After your Talonflame's done being your active, he gets knocked out or whatever the case may be. Teammates is letting you get those other 2 cards you need to start going again. 2 Float Stones, these are in here just to get the Doug Trios back onto the bench. Those guys get Lysandered up a lot. And with a 2 retreat cost, if you have the stadium out, then turns it into a 3, so it kind of hurts you sometimes. The Float Stone just takes care of that for you. 4 double colorless and 6 basic energy. Like I said, all you need is the 1 double colorless and then the 1 dark energy to get his attack going. So you don't really need to run a lot of energy, but enough to draw him. Overall, the trainers, this is where your bulk of your money's come in. Once again, these Versus Seekers are, let's see, $7.37 on TCG right now. That's actually up from when the last time I looked at them. They're only like about $5. So once again, jumping up in value because they're just a staple in every deck, and you got a lot more people playing the game now. So supply on those are just getting kind of limited. Those guys are running a total of $29.48. Overall, the deck is only total is $66.20, so that's quite close to half of the money just in the Versus Seekers. Excuse me, sorry. Ultra Balls running you 17 cents. Crushing Hammers were 15 cents. Enhanced Hammer was a quarter. Special charges were, let's see, what were those? 20 cents. Super Rods were actually $1.25. So, I mean, not too expensive, not crazy. The secret bases were $1.43. They only come out of 1 set. That wasn't bought very much. So those things are always going to be at least $1 or $2 everywhere you go. Lysanders, those guys were 35 cents. Ends have dropped down to $1.97 from, I want to say they were like $3.25 last time I looked. Close to $4, depending on the picture you picked. And actually, some of the older pictures are still selling for $3 or $4, but the cheapest ones on there are $1.95 or 97. Professors been reprinted into Oblivion, so they're only 58 cents. Team Skull Grunts were 30. Teammates were running you 18 cents. Float Stones were like $1. The DCEs were like 35 cents, and energies are generally free. I'm sure you can just ask anyone at your locals and just get them for free. But overall, you're looking at $66.20 for the whole deck. All of that coming from the Versus Seekers. But once you've bought those, you're good to go on any deck you build. Just drop the Versus Seekers in there. Same with Professors and Lysanders. All of those staple cards, once they're purchased, the next deck you build will just be that much cheaper. So definitely worth the investment. I tried to fit Trainer's Mails in here, but I wanted to keep it more budget than... I was trying to keep it under $75 basically, and Trainer's Mails are running around $4 each. So I would have bumped it up to the $80 mark. If you can buy them and you can fit them in here, definitely do though. It makes the deck even that much more consistent. But yeah, so that's the deck. very fun deck. Let's see. My overall thoughts. So as far as fun goes, I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. As far as power goes, a base attack of 60 isn't a lot. You're kind of reliant on your opponent's retreat cost to make it that much bigger. You are boosting their retreat cost a decent amount, but you're not always guaranteed to have it. So if they only have 1 or 2 retreat costs, you're not doing as much damage as you'd like. So overall, as far as power goes, I'd give it a 6. As far as speed goes, though, I gave it a 7 out of 10. The Talonflame makes it very consistent, but 1 energy, 1 double colorless onto a Sharpedo. There were quite a few times I was attacking turn 2 because I didn't draw Talonflame, so I'd start the Caravana and just go that way. A lot more often than not, I was attacking turn 3, though, with an extra Doug Trio or the Stadium out. So it's doing about 120, 140, which is pretty good on turn 3. That's a 2-hit knockout. And when they're only getting 1 prize off you and you're getting 2, the prize race is pretty good. So I gave that a 7 out of 10. As far as consistency goes, that's where I was having a lot of problems. Not having the Trainer's Mails in the deck made it a lot less consistent. I'm sure putting those in there would bump that number up. The Talonflames definitely helped, though. Like I said, I tried a bunch of different other ways, Octilleries, the Orangurus and stuff. I just wasn't liking it. It was too slow. Sometimes the Octilleries would be prized, or they'd just knock them out really quick, and you're just kind of sitting there crying the whole time, not drawing anything. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. So overall, you're looking at a 24 out of 40, which I guess is technically a D score, but it's not bad for a budget deck at $66, so pretty decent. My final thoughts: definitely only take this to your locals. You're not going to win a regionals. You're not going to win, nationals or whatever they're calling them now with this deck at all. But at a locals, you'll have a lot of fun, or playing it online if that's where you're playing. It's just a fun, goofy deck to play. When it got working, I was having a blast, and it just was cracking me up the whole time. It can be frustrating, though, without the Trainer's Mails, without some of the consistency, or flipping tails on those crushing cameras when you really need that heads. It did get pretty frustrating sometimes, just not having the stuff you needed when you needed it, especially flipping those tails. Man, that was so frustrating on a lot of those attacks. Just like, alright, cool, let's ditch their energy. They won't be able to retreat. They won't be able to attack. All I need to do is flip heads. You go crushing hammer tails, and, you end turn, and then they're sitting there attacking you or retreating or whatever. And it can get pretty frustrating. Is this the most optimal build? Probably not, but this is pretty close to what I think would be a relatively good build. You could take out the energy, like the energy engine, like ditching all their energies. You could take out the crushings, the enhance, the skull grunts, put in the Trainer's Mails, maybe drop another draw supporter in there, or professors, or even Kukui. And it might make it a little better. It might make it worse. I'm not 100% sure. I've tried them a couple different ways, and this just happens to be the way that I personally liked. So there definitely can be room for improvement, especially if you can afford some more higher end cards. I mean, if you can ditch the Talonflames and just have Shamans in there, and ditch some of the other cards to put Trainer's Mails in there, this deck could go from being relatively consistent to infinitely more consistent. Once again, it costs you a lot more money, and I was trying to keep this as close to budget as I could. But yeah, that's the Sharpedo deck. Very fun. I definitely suggest trying it out if you've got the cards already, or if you're just looking to build a fun, goofy deck to take to your locals, just to get rid of some of the monotony of playing, the same tournament deck over and over. So yeah, give it a whirl. Other than that, this is Coconut signing out.